This is Amonute Tayac of Piscataway, your friendly neighborhood Shuman, Sophia Spiritualite, the AmaruKhan Miriyam. And we are here with a video continuing or starting this series of identifying the Pantheon of Gods related to certain geographical / ethnic regions. And I'm hoping with this series, this part is going to be at least 3 videos to talk about each of the major sections, that people will find different, perhaps pantheons that they feel drawn to, and be able to integrate some of these other pantheons. And also that people are made aware that there are other pantheons in general, and that there's certain pantheons you don't have to get drawn to or stuck with. Because the point of all of this is that before we were the 12 tribes, we came from the sons of Noah, and so we have to get to that particular level of entities and deities before we can get to the ones that were before this. And I'll mention here, which I haven't said, I said it on Twitter, but I'll say it here. I do not agree with the more perspective of how these different pantheons originated. Meaning the way that people discuss Marduk and Enlil and all of that, I don't agree with their telling of the story. And so until I can get a understanding on the telling of the story, I'm going to be doing my own research, because I don't agree with the way that they're putting things, because it doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense because it totally leaves out all the rest of this stuff. If you go to the beginning, but you haven't actually built that. Okay, let's put it this way. How you going to put a steeple on the top of a church when you don't even have the foundation, son? Like, you have to have the foundation. And a lot of these people, they have skipped over building a foundation. Meaning, if you followed Hebrewism, Israeliteism, that's a foundation, man. Or even going to a regular church, a traditional church, that's a foundation. That's a foundation you can build on top of, because those things that we learned in church were not wrong. They were just put in the wrong context. You don't have to throw everything you ever learned away. What you have to do is figure out how to put it into context. And to me, these people who are proponents of this Sumerian epic with Enlil and Enki, and saying that the people who have built a foundation with what's closest to us as far as time is concerned, which is the church or Hebrewism or whatever, the Abrahamic religions, that's the closest thing to us in time. So why would we not build a foundation with what's closest to us? When you build a foundation to a house, you use rocks, you use stones, you use the strongest things you have, and the strongest things that we have access to is the church. It is the Bible. So how you can build a house that's not built on a foundation is beyond my understanding. And therefore I don't agree with their telling of the story, because they have no foundation in my perspective, because they could not draw it from here, this time we're in right now, to there. But by the time we're done on this channel, we'll be able to draw a straight line from who we are today to the creator of the universe. That's what we're going to do. We're going to draw a straight line, a little curved line, but still, it'll be a direct channel. It will not be, oh, we're going to skip over all this stuff, say that it's fake, say that it's made up, say that it's evil, and just go into the Sumerian epics, which you don't even know anything about except somebody else translated in another language, because you don't speak that language, and tell me that, oh, this is the right way. and you're wrong for worshiping all those other people. Well, hold up. Now, I know for a fact, 100% fact, that my brother is Yeshua, and he came here to provide us a way out of this mess. And I don't really know, like, how you get around that, because the whole making disciples of all nations, the whole baptism thing, that's something that's done all around the world. Ritual purifications are done all around the world. So how do you jump over what he did in this modern era and go directly to something that's 10,000 years ago? Come on, man. That don't make no sense. It's annoying, because as annoying as the Hebrew Israelites are with their everything is about the Father, the Sumerian Moor people are super annoying. Well, everything is Enlil and Marduk. Marduk is this. Enlil is that. Enki is this. It's the same thing that the Hebrew Israelites do, except it's about Enki and Enlil. It's sickening. To be honest, it's sickening, because they're not drawing it back to any reality. If you see the research we do, we're able to draw it all the way back, all the way forward. We don't miss any steps. Everything is accounted for. That is how the mother operates. Everything is in its place. These people are dealing with, to me, honestly, they're dealing with entities and deities that are of a negative polarization, and a lot of them have given over their willpower to them. I'm just being honest, because there's no way you can jump past Jesus, and what was done on the cross, and how he freed all of the entities that were trapped in hell. There's no way you can jump over that, because that don't have nothing to do with Enki and Enlil. That's Jesus who did that. Whether it was, no matter what Jesus you consider to be Jesus, it was Jesus who did that. And it's well documented with his apostles. That's what the whole purpose of the apostles is to document his story. So don't tell me that it didn't happen. You've got 12 witnesses. And you only need 2 witnesses to prove something is true. 3 is a lot. This Negro had 12. So you're just gonna skip over his story, go straight into Enki and Enlil? Nah, man, we not. We about to take that whole more because they're using that to control us. And what do I mean by that? It's not what this video is even supposed to be about, but it needs to be said. The Moors are using the Sumerian gods to control us, because it is their understanding that the Sumerian gods are the only ones who are directing everything right now. And because they're using that as their power source, as their generator, the more they perpetuate these stories without drawing them through to today, the more that they are able to maintain their power. And so we have to dismantle that by explaining, no. The Bible provides us adequate information to follow this story and include every bit and piece along the way. Again, once your perspective is corrected. And so we're dismantling the power of these Moors. They're not going to be able to continue along in this power structure, because this is what they're using to control our people. So we're going to dismantle that. Okay. So this video is actually about EurAsiA, which was the plot of land that was given to Japheth. And it's interesting that we're going to cover Japheth first, because he is known in the rabbinical literature that Japheth was the oldest son of Noah. And we're going to talk about that too. And we're going to talk about their Pantheon of Gods. They have many, many, many pantheons of gods. So this is not like, oh, this is the only one. However, you're going to see these same ones show up over and over and over again, just with regionally, culturally relevant names. And so this will help you understand that EurAsiA. And remember, the Ur refers to the father. Asi is the daughter, and is the mother. And I'm gonna probably have to rephrase my Africa understanding, but that's why I want to do separate videos, so I can just talk about the one thing and we can come to the conclusions that make sense. And so because EurAsiA starts with they're going to default to the masculine, which is why you have the Roman pantheon, the Greek pantheon, the Nordic pantheon, all have a father that is the primary entity or deity. That's the leader of the gods, which is fine. This is about balance. The reason why we're discussing it like this is because we're trying to figure out how to draw the balance. So we're not going to talk about the Father because the Father is outside of space and time. Always remember, the Father element is outside of space and time. The Mother element is here, but we're really in the time of the daughter. So we're in the time of the daughter across all the pantheons, across the whole world. So this is why we have to discuss it like this, where we're highlighting the daughter element, the daughter element across the whole world. So what is the daughter element going to look like for EurAsiA? That's what we're talking about, and we're going to do the same one for Tayac, and we'll do the same thing for Amarika. Okay, so let's let's get started. Hopefully this video won't be too long. So all right, so when I first look up, I see, and I could only find this one time, and it's a good thing I didn't close that window because I would have not been able to find this again. They did not want me to have this information. So I see is Mahabharata, okay, Mahabharata, and obviously this is Sanskrit. So Asi appears as a personification of the first weapon ever created according to Hindu epics. Asi means sword. A legend concerning Asi appears in the Shanti Prava book in the Mahabharata. In Rigvedic Sanskrit, Asi is still used as a term for a kind of sacrificial dagger or knife. So the knife has to be turned over to Asi. Asi is the one who's going to be wielding the knife in this quote-unquote New World Order. That would be the EurAsiA people. So is that America? No. Is that Africa? No, that's the EurAsiA people. Now you can understand why they got a UN soldiers, because that is an EurAsiA organization. So really, the fighting is going to be done by them. We do not have to fight because Asi is coming in to wield the sword. Previously, Amarika wielded the sword, and I do believe now, having done some of this research, that was wrong. They deliberately put things out of order by having us wield the sword over in EurAsiA. It was a deliberate strategy to usurp the power of the daughter, which they knew was coming, because after the son, obviously the daughter is going to come. So I'm saying that this is a worldwide effort to usurp the power of the daughter and return it to these foreign invaders. Because I don't believe that the foreign invaders have anything to do with any of these pantheons. The real people, like the ones protecting Mariel in Russia, are the ones who know that they are in charge of the sword. And this is why any kind of quote-unquote World War III or anything like that it's probably not going to happen, because we, by doing this research, are empowering Asi to do what needs to be done, to wield her power as each of the daughters step up to wield their power. Now remember, I said this in another video as well. The princess in one pantheon is not the queen in the same pantheon. The princess in the Pantheon of Pentacles is going to end up being the Queen of Wands. The princess in the Wands pantheon is going to be the Queen of Cups. The princess in the Cups pantheon is going to be the Queen of Swords, and the princess in the Swords pantheon is going to be the Queen of Pentacles. You're not the queen in the same pantheon you were. This is what that whole leave and cleave to your husbands really means. It's stuff that they said, but when you understand it, then you get it. You leave your pantheon, your family, and you go to another family, and then you become the queen of that pantheon. That's how that works. This is what we're talking about, and this is like a practical way of understanding that, and hopefully this will help people in a lot of stuff, okay? So here's the legend. Out of curiosity, Nakula, the fourth son of Pandu, the master of swordsmanship, questioned Kuru, Grandshire Bhishma, on his arrow deathbed as to which the best weapon in all kinds of fighting. In his own personal views, Nakula thought thought the sword to be superior, since even on having lost one's bow, horse, and chariot, the skillful swordman could still defend himself against the mace and spear wielders. Nakula further queried the Grandshire about the origin and the purpose of Kagda, as well as its first Acharya or teacher, preceptor. Gladdened by these intelligent queries by Nakula, Bhishma related to him the complete Itihasa, a Sanskrit term for history of the Kagda or divine sword, starting from its creation down to present. Creation of ASI. The devils approached Brahma, the creator of the universe, in ancient time and protested against the unjust rule and evil doings of the demons, Danavas. Hearing the protest from the deities, Brahma collected sacrificial objects and proceeded to perform a grand sacrifice with the foremost of the rishis and devas at the side of the Himalaya. During this course of sacrifice, a dreadful creature sprang from the midst of the sacrificial fires, scattering flames all around. It was thought as a moon had arisen in the midst of stars. He was colored like a deep blue lotus. His teeth were sharp and terrible, her stomach lean and skinny, and stature very tall and slim. She was one of exceeding energy and power. Simultaneously, the earth started shaking. There were turmoils in the oceans. The forceful wind started howling all around. The trees started falling, being torn apart, and a meteor started blazing through the skies. Brahma declared, "The being I have conceived is ASI. It shall effect the destruction of the enemies of the gods and restore the Dharma." See, restoring the Dharma is the most important thing for ASI, and that's what you see, quote unquote, Russia doing. They're trying to restore, bring restoration, not just Russia, but all of the opposing forces in EurAsiA, Hamas, and the rest of them. They're trying to restore Dharma because things are completely out of whack. And so someone has to come in and restore that. There's no getting around it, okay? Succession of the wielders of ASI. This is kind of like, reminds me of the story of the Grail Queens, but, one day we'll have to do a video on that. All right, Brahma, but if you look it up, there's a video by Douglas Gabriel on the Grail Queens, because he wrote a whole book about it. Brahma gave the sword to Shiva and requested him to put down the sinners and evildoers and restore the Dharma, righteousness. Shiva, assuming his terrible form, took up the sword, her terrible form, right? Shakti and Shiva, took up the sword and started war against the Devanas, the enemies of the Devas. And the Devas are I looked up the Devas and the Devis. These are the gods and the goddesses, right? This is, Anyway, the earth became myriad with flesh and blood and of Daityas, and he destroyed entire communities of Daityas. Yeah. Shiva gave the sword to Vishnu. On course of time, Vishnu gave it to Marachi. Marachi gave it to all the great rishis. The latter gave it to Vasava. Vasava gave it to the regents of the world. The regents gave that sword to Manu, son of Surya. In time, Manu installed his own son, Kashupa, in the sovereignty of all creatures and gave him the sword for protection. From Kashupa, it was taken by Ixchavaku. From Ixchavaku to Puruvas. From Puruvas, it was taken by. Okay, look, is it? All right, we're not gonna read all of that. At the death of Drona, we're just gonna skip down to. Okay, look, women, we're gonna go back. Drona, this is the last paragraph, sentence of this paragraph. Drona used his weapon for the famous Kurukshetra war described in the epic Mahabharata. Drona became unconquerable in that war because he held the primordial weapon. So this is the primordial weapon. After the death of Drona, it was taken by Kripchara. Kripchara gifted the sword to Nakula, and from Nakula, it went to Parikshit. From Parikshit to Janamaya. Okay. Okay, wait a minute. This is important. From Janamejaya, it went to his son Satanika. Satanika, who studied the Vedas under Yajnaya Walka, and military science from Kripachara, become dissatisfied with sensual enjoyments and obtain spiritual knowledge from the instructions of Saukana, and ultimately obtain salvation. The sword went back to Kripachara for safekeeping till the return of the rightful owner of this weapon, Dron Achara's son Ashwatthama. Okay, so people got tired of using the sword, right? And so they went after spiritual enlightenment, which I would say this is kind of like saying, okay, these warriors, they kept fighting, just like in just like with the 12 tribes, and they just became weary with fighting, and so they tried to figure out how to work out peace with these people instead of fighting every time they turned around. That's kind of like the same story. These stories are similar, because it's one big story. It's just people have their different perspectives. All right. So this was another thing that I came across when I was looking up was this Asir. And it basically, as you can see, it's spelled the same way. Why is this important? Because you have places like Egypt, which are Aegypt, and this is kind of like, I would say, the key to the gods, especially once you see what the curse is, and we'll talk about that. Okay. In Old Norse, Asir are the principal gods of the Norse pantheon. Now remember, when we're talking about EurAsiA, we're talking about everything from Great Britain and United Kingdom all the way down to Hawaii, basically. And those islands, definitely past New Zealand. All of that is EurAsiA. This is a huge swath of land. Okay, that'll come up in a minute, soon. Asir is pronounced ice ear with stress on the first syllable. It is plural noun, means multiple gods in Old Norse. I can't pronounce those. What does the name Asir, ice ear? Oh, that's why they sound like that. Okay. The word Aesir almost certainly came from one of two Proto-Germanic words, "ansus" meaning life or vitality, or "ansans" meaning a pole or beam, like a sword. The sword that keeps you alive. Does that not sound like I see? You know what I mean? You gotta like really think about that. The other pole that has life and vitality, but then that would be a masculine meaning. And the feminine meaning is the sword that brings life and vitality. It takes it and it brings it. And I think that's the same with other types of poles too. They take and they also bring. And so you can't like just overlook that, right? Life and vitality tying with the ethos of the gods will want to portray, and poles or beams indicate support or structure, or swords, okay, which would be important concepts for gods to provide. Many Old Norse words use the prefix as to add divine meaning to the rest of the word. Why? As see, I see. That's why. The sword, the goddess. They're talking about the goddess. That's why they use as. See, this is the same way that A's refer to ops or Anna. We'll say ops. But the mother goddess and Ur or Ka refers to the father god. You can see how those things happen when they put a Ka, because they're not ignoring the presence of the masculine. We don't ignore the presence of the masculine, but we're primarily working, especially now, with the daughter. So you have Asgard, Asbru. Asgard is God's enclosure, protected by swords. Asbru, sacred bridge of rainbow, protected by swords. Landas, God's nation, protected by swords. Aska, or thunder, which looks like a sword coming from the sky. Well, really, it comes from the ground, but as the As or As is the most important god, Odin. Well, see, here's what happened, because it's EurAsiA. Of course, if you look at the tarot spiral, the king and the princess are in the same slice. So you can even looking at the king side, which EurAsiA, they're looking at the king side. But the princess is right there learning everything that the king knows. The king passes on all his knowledge to the princess. And that is how the princess becomes the queen, because she learned from the king. That's how it is in the tarot spiral. That's why it was important to get that set up properly, because then the stories make sense. So they're talking about the king, but the king is right beside the daughter, is literally right beside the king, learning everything that the king knows from the king. And so she could be more equipped to be the queen and run the kingdom if she has to. All right. What do the Aesir represent? Although many Aesir gods of non-bellicose, their overall association is with battle, war, and achieving power throughout the 9 realms. Why is that? Because Asi is a weapon, and they're the ones who are supposed to be on patrol of the entire 9 realms. This is their job. See, this is going to be controversial too, but this is another problem I had with people saying, oh, we're supposed to take up our weapons and fight. That's not us. We're not those people. There are people who are supposed to. We're not those people. The people that are supposed to be taking up weapons and fighting are the Aesir. The EurAsiA. Those people are supposed to be fighting. Not us. We have a different job. Very important, but very different. We'll probably do AmaruKhan last. Although, we already said that. The Vanir, on the other hand, mainly appear in relation to cultivation and fertility. So to understand the difference between Aesir from Asgard and the Vanir from Vanaheim, you must look at their universe. Norse mythology dictates 9 realms sit in branches and roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree, or the tree of life. I did a video on the Spiritualite tree of life where we talk about Yggdrasil. I couldn't pronounce any of the words. I'll share it after I post this video. Of these 9, 6 are constant and feature in every image or description of the realms: Asgard, Alfheim, Vanaheim, Midgard, Jotunheim, and Muspelheim. The other 3 are a selection of Svartalhelm, Nauvellir, or Hell, and Nephilim. Svartalfheim and Neovalir are sometimes combined as are Hell and Nephheim. Or Nephilim. Very good, Nephilim. Anyway, According to Norse cosmology, Vanaheim is the realm of Vanir, the gods associated with soothsaying, fertility, magic, and wisdom. According to legend, Asgard lies in the sky and has as many as 12 different regions, one of which is Valhalla, which is the halls of the warriors who died a glorious death in battle. The main part of Asgard, by all accounts, is a gigantic fortress. Thor's palace, Thrudheim, Baldur's Hall, Bridbullock, Hedmaw's home, Himenborg, or Heaven's Cliffs are all in Asgard. In summary, it is the home of the gods and slain warriors. So, as EurAsiA is all about, is the place where those people go. It is their quote unquote heaven. So, this is what this is now, because of mixing. It's not to say that only the people in EurAsiA have access to this realm. What I'm saying is you have to be clear on what pantheons you work with. For example, this pantheon is related to me. I have a connection with this particular pantheon, just like I do with the AmaruKhan pantheon. I don't have a real close connection with the AfriKhan pantheon. I don't, and I hope to get an experience with those different deities so that I can develop a relationship, but it's not coursing through my blood. Like, I will have to invite it in, which is a little bit different. This pantheon I've always had a connection to, and that's not really surprising because my great grandmother, she was allegedly half native and half Irish. Nobody could explain that to me. That's a whole nother thing. So this does not surprise me because I know a lot about where I came from, and I do have that Irish thing sort of going on too. So this is not surprising to me. This is why it's good, if even if you don't know your ancestors, you can know who your lineage is by seeing which deities you resonate with. All right, so I'm not going to read all of this about all of these guys, but I'm going to read a little bit. At least the names so you guys can be familiar with them. So Odin is a supreme deity in Norse myth and the all-father of the Aesir. So when they be talking about, you know, the father, they be talking about Odin. And remember, Odin is the one who took over Saul because he is frequently seen with two spears, although in this picture he only has one. He is related to images with two spears. And when Saul went after David, he tried to take him out with two spears, which, why would you include that detail if not trying to make reference to this particular deity? So this when they be saying the father, they mean this. A lot of Hebrews mean this, but the problem is it was another God who cast this deity out of Saul, and that's when he really descended into craziness and he couldn't get anything done. All right, I'm not going to read all of that. Okay, Thor was Odin's best known son and second most famous god. He was a protector of humanity in Midgard and, of course, the mighty god of thunder. Okay, Loki was the trickster god. He was the god of mischief. He was a shapeshifter, taking the form of animals like a horse, fly, or salmon. He tricked the blind god Hoder into killing Balder, Hoder's brother and Odin's son. Frigg had used a magic spell on Balder, making him impervious to any material. However, Loki discovered that mistletoe was the only thing that could hurt Balder, and Hoder throw a mistletoe spear at Balder, killing him. So this is where that whole kissing under the mistletoe comes from, because I don't know. We'll have to go into that when Christmas comes around. All right, Frigg is Odin's wife, so this would have been the queen, was a soothsayer and the goddess of love, beauty, and fertility. Of course, another Venusian energy. As Odin's wife, she was powerful and formidable in character. So Balder Uh, Odin and Frigg were the parents of the gleaming god of light, Balder, or Balder. He was also the god of joy and purity, and the father of Forseti, the god of justice. So basically, Balder is kind of like Jesus. The golden, the light, the gleaming light. Yeah, that's Jesus. So here's the Jesus character in Norse mythology. All right. All gods and human beings loved him as he was so generous, handsome, and a good person. And the opposite was it was the opposite for Jesus, because by the time Jesus came around in this Balder energy, they knew what this meant. They was going to have to give up their wickedness because the God of light had come. And so now you can also see why they always show Jesus with this halo and stuff around him, because this is the God of light. This is it's directly referring to this particular entity and deity. And that would make sense because a lot of quote unquote Christianity comes from what? It's from, well, let's say Roman Christianity was a huge thing because Paul was a Roman. Quite a few of them were Roman citizens. So, you know, they technically wielded the knife. And now I kind of understand why Paul cut off that guy's ear, because he was under this particular pantheon. This whole thing. Those stories tie into these stories. That's what I'm saying. Okay. All right. Hodor was the blind Norse god of the night. He was a son of Odin and Frigg and a brother to Balder and Hermod. All right. Idun, next to Freya and next to Frigg and Freya, Idun is the best known female goddess in Norse legend. She is the wife of Bragi, the god of poetry and a guardian of magic apples that maintain the youth and vigor of Aesir, the gods of the most important pantheon in the Viking and Old Norse religion. So, the Grail Queen, the one who protected the longevity and protected and continue the longevity of of the kingdom. So this is kind of like a Mary Magdalene character, you know. Heimdall lived in a hall in Asgard called Himmelborg and was the gatekeeper of the Bifrost, the rainbow bridge that linked Asgard and Midgard. He was always alert to guard the realm of the gods against attack. So this is like your Paul character with the sword, right? They didn't show a picture of him, but Uller is often called the god of winter and skiing, although the prose Edda does not mention these facts. He lives in a little-known place called Yadalir, and these are accounts of him replacing the god of summer, Odin, during the winter months. So this is like the other side of Odin. You know, Odin was the god of summer, probably the god of spring, and this was the god of winter and fall. Interesting. Okay, Tyre is often cited as the god of, and Tyre is also a city that's mentioned, Tyre, in the Bible too. Okay, Tyre is often cited as the god of war in Germanic mythology. Tyre sacrificed a hand of monstrous wolf Fenrir, allowing the wolf to be captured and chained. Ragnarok predicted the wolf or dog called Gammer Garmer would kill and devour Tyre during the battle. Tuesday, which means day of Tyre, day of war. Okay, that's one of the places it comes from. Vidar is the god of vengeance and the son of Odin and the Jotun Grior. He avenges his father's death during Ragnarok by killing the giant wolf. Okay, then you have Bragi, is told traditionally known as the god of poetry and music in Norse mythology. He was famous for his wisdom and mastery of words, not to mention having the most extensive knowledge of poems and songs in the 9 realms. This is like your David character, right? And he has a heart too. So this is like David. So now you can understand, okay, if they got a David character here, Braggy, and then they also got a Odin character, this is why Odin was able to jump on Saul, because he had a David-like person right there. And he probably was able to pull him in because, hey, that's braggy. I can take him out now. This is what Q Reeves is talking about when he says that these gods are playing out their stories in our bodies. I didn't know this. I hadn't read to the bottom of this article, but it's obvious this David, he's got a heart. So, of course, Odin would be trying to figure out a way to take out Braggy. More ways David got himself in trouble, not even knowing, or maybe he did know, that he had the characteristics of this character. And Odin was trying to take him out. For whatever reason, we'd have to read the Vedas, and maybe we'll get to that. So anyway, this is all the different gods of the Norse. Not all of them. This is the 12 main gods and goddesses in the Norse mythology, and the Norse pantheon is found in the Vedas. The Rig Vedas is another one. There's also the Vedas. That's the British version of the Vedas. And they also have Vedas in Hindu. I'm not gonna call them Hindustan instead of India, because it's really Hindustan. So, all right, we're gonna move on to Japheth, but I just want to make sure people have an understanding of. I see the weapons and how this mythology shows up in the Bible stories. And the more of this mythology you know, the more you can tie it to the Bible stories. It's not that the Bible took these stories. It's that these different gods show up in different people. We are the vessels the gods move through. So when they came in order for them to carry out their physical thing that they want to do, they have to enter someone's body and do it. And of course, they're going to attack the people that have the bloodline or the personification of people that they had problems with in previous incarnations. So we are all like just carrying this, stuff over and over and over again. And I feel like in exposing it like this, we are really acting like Dinah, who tried to end this battle between his brothers and these quote-unquote pagans, and then the brothers went and just killed everybody after they forced circumcised them. So this is kind of like, all right, we're going to do it, but we're going to do it with information now instead of trying to do it by marrying in and becoming the queen. They didn't understand all that. Now you can see why Dinah went in and let those people assault her so she could become their queen. She learned the sword from her brothers. Now let her go in and be the queen of these people and clean them up. They didn't get it. And I don't expect these men to get it now, to be honest. So you have to understand it, because I don't think these men are ever going to be able to get this. I'm not the ones who need to get it. I don't think they can understand this, because I don't think the daughter really. It's like think about the knights on the tarot spiral. You have the queen, who's usually trying to engage with the knight, but the knight is usually, especially the Knight of Swords, he's already riled up. You can't talk to somebody who's already riled up. So you just have to, go around them some kind of way, get the information some other way. Right? Okay, so let's look at the curse of Japheth. Actually, let's read about Japheth first, and then we'll look at the curse. The blessing. All right, so Japheth is one of the three sons of Noah in the book of Genesis, which he plays a role in the story of Noah's drunkenness and the curse of Ham, subsequently in the Table of Nations as the ancestor of the peoples of the Aegean Sea, Anatolia, Caucasus, Greece, and elsewhere in EurAsiA. So literally, he is the father of the EurAsiA pantheon, will come from him, okay? In medieval and early modern European tradition, he was considered to be the progenitor of the European people, EurAsian. He's the progenitor of all of them, okay? The name Japheth, the meaning of the name Japheth is disputable. There are two possible meanings. The Aramaic root means to extend like the sword. He may extend like the sword. He may extend like the sword, according from the interpretation of Rashi, and the Hebrew root meaning beauty, in which the case would mean beautiful. So basically, the beautiful one who extends the sword. The beautiful one, the daughter that extends the sword, I see. So he was working with I see. I see was working through him. There's no other way to come to that conclusion once you have this information. All right, so Japheth first appears in the Hebrew Bible as one of the three sons of Noah saved from the flood through the ark. In the book of Genesis, there are always in the order Shem, Ham, and Japheth when all three are listed. That's because Shem, well, anyway, Genesis 9:24 calls Ham the youngest. Genesis 10:21 refers ambiguously to Shem as brother of Japheth the elder, which could mean that either is the eldest. Most modern writers accept that Shem, Ham, and Japheth as reflecting their birth order, so that's not always the case. I'm going to skip over. However, Japheth is considered to have been the eldest son of Noah in rabbinic literature, which we know they kept the records. Okay. Following the flood, Japheth is featured in the story of Noah's drunkenness. Ham sees Noah drunk and naked in his tent and tells his brothers, who then cover their father with a cloak while avoiding the sight. When Noah awakes, he curses Canaan, the son of Ham, and blesses Shem and Japheth. Blessed be the Lord God of Shem and women. Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and may Canaan be his slave, and may God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be his slave. So Canaan is supposed to be the slave. Now we're going to find out who Canaan is. I didn't get into all of that, but we're going to look that up. And may God enlarge Japheth. Okay, I said chapter 10 of Genesis, the table of nations describes how the earth is populated. Okay, so they have their own thing in popular culture. Okay, now let's look at who is Canaan. They say Canaan is Palestine, but let's see. Canaan was a Semitic speaking civilization and region of the southern Levant and ancient Near East during the second millennium BC. Canaan had a significant geopolitical importance in the late Bronze Age, where the spheres of interest of the Egyptian, Hittite, Mitanni, and Assyrian empires converge or overlaps. Much of the present-day knowledge about Canaan stems from archaeological excavation in this area, such as Tel Hazor, Tel Megiddo, En Assur, and Gezer. The name Canaan appears throughout the Bible as a geography associated with the Promised Land. The demonym Canaanites served as an ethnic catch-all term covering various indigenous populations, both settled and nomadic pastoral groups throughout the regions of the southern Levant or Canaan. It is by far the most frequently used ethnic term in the Bible. Biblical scholar Mark Smith, citing archaeological finds, suggests that Israelite culture overlapped with and derived from Canaanite culture. In short, Israelite culture was largely Canaanite in nature. So these are the people. Oh wait, it says the name Canaanites is attested many centuries later as the endonym of the people later known as the ancient Greeks. So this is interesting. We're going to keep looking at it. See, the etymology is uncertain. An early explanation derives from the Semitic group kin to be low, humble, subjugated. Some scholars have suggested this implies the original meaning of lowlands, in contrast with Aram, which meant highlands, whereas others have suggested the subjugated as the name of Egypt's province in Levant, and evolved the proper name in similar fashion to Provincia Nostra, the first Roman colony in the Alps, which became province. The land of purple. The land of purple. The land of purple. So Canaan has something to, so they don't know who the Canaanites are. We'll see if we can figure it out as we continue along, if it becomes obvious. But we are going to have to figure out who Canaan is, because Canaan is the one who's supposed to be the slaves. So that's like the big secret, man. That's a big secret. Canaan is supposed to be the slaves, and nobody wants to be Canaan. Y'all talking about the Edomites. Who are the Canaanites? All right. So let's look at the curse of, I think it's 9 and 27. All right, let's read the whole thing. This is chapter 9 of Genesis. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you, I remember, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. That's interesting. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. What does that mean? And the fear of you. Okay. I don't know exactly why they're using it like that. Oh, so they will fear the people, the sons of Noah. Okay. All right, verse 3. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb I have given you all things. So anyway, nobody want to hear that scripture. Every moving thing, okay? But flesh, that doesn't mean dogs. I mean, come on now. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, ye shall not eat. So you can't eat people, okay? But flesh. When they say flesh, they mean humans. Mankind. You can't eat mankind, okay? And surely your blood of your lives will I require at the hand of every beast. Will I require it? And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of Elohim made he man. And you, be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And Elohim spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And Elohim said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set that term perpetual generations is really important. Perpetual means that it goes on forever. It does not mean that is a quote unquote everlasting covenant, because you cannot have a covenant with no end. What it means is you have the ability to renegotiate or reconfirm the contract. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about a contract that is, oh, it's forever. No, you have to reassert the contract. You have to reinforce the trust. That's what that's talking about. Reinforcing the trust. Not, oh, this goes on forever and ever. No, reinforce the trust. Reinforce the trust. Or establish the trust. Re-engage the trust. Retake up the trust, right? And let's see. Verse 13. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Now, I've been talking about this because I've been saying that some people have the memory of the flood on them, right? And like, this is why this is so much detail saying we're not going to take you out by flood again. We're not going to take you out by flood. We're not going to do that again. We already did that. We're not going to do it again. Of the whole earth. Now, certain places, hey, and the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And Elohim said unto Noah, this is a token of the covenant, which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Sem, and Cam, and Yefet, and Cam is the father of Canaan. Is that right? Canaan. Yeah. Ham is the father of Canaan. So Canaan comes from Ham. Okay? That's important. We want to know who Canaan is. Ham is the father of Canaan. So this is why they try to call the natives here Africans, because the Africans are supposed to be the slaves. That's what it says. The sons of that's why they had a whole group called them the Slavs. It wasn't them who were supposed to be the slaves. It was the Hamites, the sons of Ham, the Canaan. The sons of Ham are supposed to be the slaves. Now, I don't believe anyone needs to be slaves. I'm not saying it for that purpose. I'm just saying in general, there's a certain group of people who are supposed to be the slaves, and they're trying to put it on everybody else that their elite are trying to put the Moors are trying to put it on everybody else but them. No, these Moors are supposed to be the slaves. They're the sons of Canaan. All right, these are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. So everybody on the earth comes from these three groups. You fall into one of these three groups. And Noah began to be a husbandman, yeah. And he planted a vineyard. Now remember, one of the scriptures we talked about in a different video was talking about, I am the vine. The I am the vine video. I talk about how Jesus says, I am the vine and my father is the husbandman. So this is referring to Noah and his relationship with God and all of that. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan. Now they keep saying that Ham is the father of Canaan. Why they gotta say this so many times? So you won't be confused. The Hamites are Canaan. Those are the ones that's supposed to experience this slavery. So why are they trying to put it on the rest of the world when it's really supposed to be put on them? I don't know. This could be like, my problem with the Sumerian epic, more than likely. All right. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without. And Sem and Japhet took a garment and laid it upon both of their shoulders and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. And their faces were backwards, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah woke from his wine and knew what the younger son had done unto him. What? Was that a curse? Wait, hold on. What do you mean what he done unto him? I don't get this. Hold on. He looked at him, but I don't get it. He saw him. Enjoy? Joyfully? Wait a minute. Oh, what the heck? So Ham saw him unclean. Did he curse him? I'm just trying to fit. Because it just said. Okay, it just said, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father. What's this? This is like, he got drunk and saw. What did he see? Okay, well, he saw something because that's why he got cursed. And told his two brethren without. Oh, told his two brethren outside. And Noah awoke, let's go back to 24. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. I'm just, what did he do? Had observed. To do or to make. He must have put a curse on him. Is he saying that, okay, well, this is something else to look into. What did Ham do? I don't know. All right. And he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, blessed be Yahweh, Elohim of Sem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Elohim shall enlarge Japhet, and he shall dwell in the tents of Sem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. And all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Okay, let's see if we can find out. Genesis 9:22? Let's see. What did he see? Let's see. It says the same thing. And Noah began to be a master of the soil, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and became drunk, and he uncovered himself within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw his father's nakedness, and he told his two brothers outside. And Shem and Japheth took the garment, they placed it on both of their shoulders, and walked backwards, and they covered their father's nakedness, and their faces were turned backwards, so they did not see their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine, and he knew what his small son had done to him. And he said, cursed be Canaan, he shall be a slave among slaves to his brethren. And he said, blessed be the... Okay, I don't, what he see? Let me see. Let's talk about what Ham did. What did he do? Okay. Did Ham rape Noah? What? Okay, some interpreters claim. Now I don't know. We gonna read this. Some interpreters claim that this refers to Ham raping his father. In fact, as early as the Babylonian Talmud, Jewish interpreters held that Ham either raped his father or castrated him. Modern scholars like Herman Gunkel, these guys have also held this view. Is this the case? The plain sense reading states that Noah was drunk, undressed himself, passed out, and Ham mocked him. The plain sense reading of the text should be preferred unless other arguments question this plain sense reading. What are the other arguments? The expression saw the nakedness of his father is a euphemism for sex. Now, remember, when we talked about Dinah, is it going to... It might not talk about Dinah. When we talk about Dinah, remember they said they saw her nakedness. Hold on. Let me look that up real quick so I can just read it. Let's see. Genesis 34. Let me pull that up real quick. And let's read it, because this is what they were talking about. Genesis. Oh, we may as well get to the bottom of this. Alright, let's look at Dinah's story real quick. We gotta look at it in the Hebrew. I'm sorry. Because, reading it in the English version is not telling me anything. It's 34. Because that article goes to Leviticus, but... I also remember hearing that term uncovered the nakedness somewhere else with another story. Was it the brothers? Alright, so this is the Dinah incident. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Yaakov, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Sechem, the son of Camor, the Sewi, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her and defiled her. Oh no, this was a different term. He defiled her. They used the term defiled. Okay, it was in another story then. Oh, here we go. Alright, interpreters that believe that Ham raped Noah appeal to the Leviticus to show that Moses used the phrase uncover the nakedness to refer to sex. Leviticus 18:6-8 says, none of you, oh yeah, it was in this one, none of you shall approach any blood relative to uncover nakedness. I am the Lord. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father, that is the nakedness of your mother. She is your mother. Do not uncover her nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife, which is your father's nakedness. There are a few problems with the Genesis 9 euphemism for rape. For first, Leviticus 18 used a different expression. Does it? Let's see. What is that? Leviticus 18? And I have it in the Kebra Nagis too. I'll pull that up if I have to. Leviticus 18, right? All right. Yeah, it says, none of you shall approach to any that is near kin of him to uncover their nakedness. It is the same word as used in Genesis 9 and 22, though. It just said it. Okay. All right. The second argument is, how could Noah know what happened to him if he was merely mocked? Genesis records when Noah woke from his wine, he knew what his youngest son had done to him. How did Noah know what happened to him if Ham merely mocked him? On the other hand, if Noah had been raped, he would have instantly known this as he awoke. On the other hand, we might point out that Noah explicitly knew what Ham did to him. If Noah had been raped, how would he know that the culprit was Ham rather than one of the other boys, or even all three boys? In other words, the argument doesn't help with either side of the debate because Noah learned what happened in ways the text simply doesn't state. The third argument is, why was Ham so cursed so severe if he merely mocked his father's nakedness? That's what? Okay, all right. These were good questions. This is from Evidence Unseen. Here we go. Maybe this will give us some. This is 10 pages. We're not gonna read all of this. Let's see. Huh? I'm not done yet. All right, we're trying to see. But the act of looking at another's genitals may have indeed been a grievous crime. Among sex omens of Mesopotamia contained in the first millennium BCE collections of omens called Summa Alu, we find the following. If a man repeatedly stares at his woman's vagina, his health will be good. He will lay hands on whatever is not his. If a man is with a woman while facing him, she repeatedly stares at his penis, whatever he finds will not be secure in his house. Huh. Power is wielded by the subject who looks to another. To be the object of... I need to find this book. To be the object of a look makes one vulnerable and exposed. Scrutinizing observation could be a breach of boundaries. Such a look can undermine one's mastery and control. To my knowledge, this material has not been utilized to explain the Noah incident. If Goodin's interpretation of the text is correct, it may help explain the grievous nature of Ham's act as well as the punishment of slavery. For if looking at another's genitals will gain one mastery and control, then the appropriate biblical punishment for such an act would be loss of mastery and control, i.e. servitude. In any case, whether Gunnen's explanation of the text is correct or not, the omens clearly indicate the power of the act of looking at another's genitals in the Mesopotamian world, and this may provide the necessary context in which to explain at least one aspect of the biblical story, that is, what Ham did to Noah. Okay, So what they're saying is, according to this text, where is it? What's the call of the text? Summa Alu. Let's see if we can find this. Copy. Let's see if it comes up. Nope. Okay. Oh my gosh. They do not want people to know this. Okay, let's look at the regular one. All right. It lists over. Okay, the title translates, if a city is situated on a height, and it lists over 10,000 omens. Many of these omens listed in this group begin with the word Summa, Ina, Ali, Madu, kind of people, as in if there are too many kinds of people. And the omens in this group proceed with a description of misfortune or negative occurrence. Similarities recognized within the nature of this series and types of works are concerned with hermology and minology. Wow. We got to find this book. Wow. They literally don't want us to have this information. Okay, well, we don't know what all those 10,000 omens are, but I'm gonna look into it and see if I can find it. This is crazy. So this thing is no joke. So we don't know exactly what Ham did, but we know that it was not good. Oh, if a city was set on height, yeah, this is it. See? Oh man. All right, well, we're going to see if we can pull it out. Anybody is able to find this text, please send me an email. We might want to know what these omens are, because obviously somebody is using these omens against us. Facts or not facts? All right, so basically we can say, all right, let's sum this up, because I'll spend the next however long in this. Okay, so we talked about the goddess I see being the sword, and EurAsiA is the one who is the sword bearer of the three daughters we're discussing when we're talking about Free or Atika, Amarika, and then EurAsiA. middle part of those names being the goddesses that are set to rule at this time. And it's clear to me that EurAsiA means that the Father is working directly with the Asi goddess to rule by sword. She's not ruling on her own. It's in conjunction with the Father. Okay? And some people are of that lineage, and this is not to diss anybody who's of that lineage, because I fall into that category, at least partially myself, as I do relate with these Norse goddesses and gods and so on and so forth. And I do relate with the sword because, like I said in my regression, every time I turned around, I had a weapon. I said, where are these weapons coming from? Why do I have all of these weapons? And now I understand that was, I see, making it clear along with the Father image that I have access to these weapons. That is part of my blood lineage. And you can look at your dreams and your visions and the different things that come up for you to see if that relates to you as well. So what I do not relate with is Ham. The Tia, I just couldn't figure out why I don't relate to that. I don't relate to that. And not that it's bad. Again, I'm not casting any judgment on this. It's just you have to know what you're supposed to do. You have to know who you are. And this is a part of knowing who you are. So Japheth is the one who is giving land. This is why EurAsiA is a huge area of land, is a huge landmass, whereas even Marika is a huge landmass. It is only Atika that is a small landmass, or maybe it means Afri and Antarctica. But Antarctica has too many syllables. So let's just say Atika and down, including Antarctica, are also under servitude. And maybe that's why Antarctica is under water or under ice, because it's everything is out of whack. And the people who are of this Sumerian lineage, these Moors and these these other ones under the Sumerian lineage are getting out of line with what they are supposed to do, or they're not in line with what they're supposed to do. And so we're going to bring everybody in the line. We're going to tell everybody what they're supposed to do. The EurAsiA, they're supposed to have weapons. They're supposed to have the sword. That is a part of them. That's a part of who they are. And so we have to let that thing that's going on in that EurAsiA area, we have to let that play out. And we really don't have anything to do with that. And we should not have anything to do with that. And they use Marika as a protection because of what Mari is and who Mari is. And so you can kind of see how the world events are playing out through these gods moving the pieces around, trying to do whatever they're doing. It's kind of this, the whole thing's kind of weird to me. And probably the more we study it, the weirder it will be. So I hope this has been helpful for people. I have no idea how long this video was. And peace and blessings to you all. We'll see you in the next video.